Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We welcome in Steve Merrill from ProSportsInfo.com. We reel in Steve each and every week to set us up on the biggest games in college football and where we should be leaning our money. Steve, how you doing today?
Hey, Mark, doing well.
Alabama and Auburn. That's the Saturday tilt. Let's go to Friday first. We got Texas-Iowa State, a huge game in the Big 12. The winner owns its own destiny, and it's a pick'em game in Austin.
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting that it's right around that pick-em price because obviously by kickoff Friday afternoon, one of these teams might be favored. It was Texas earlier this week. A couple days ago, Texas was a 1.5-point favorite, but the line has started to drop here, and now we're seeing pick'em. I'm even seeing Iowa State as a 1-point favorite in some spots now. So the line has been moving, and it's interesting because we all know what a great underdog coach Tom Herman has been over his years at Houston and now Texas. So if the Longhorns do go off as a dog, as it looks like they might now, that qualifies. But either way, it's basically a straight-up win situation. And I like that Herman angle either way as well because what it says is that he is good in competitively priced games when he's facing good or better teams. And that's very important when handicapping coaches, especially in college football. And we do get some line value with Texas. My power ratings actually favor them by 3 points here. So I disagree with this line move down to pick them. I think there's a little extra value now with the Longhorns.
Intriguing matchup in Chapel Hill. Notre Dame headed to the ACC championship game unless they completely fall apart, taking on a high-powered offense in North Carolina. The Heels are a 5-point underdog.
Yeah, the bye week came at a really good time for Notre Dame. I like North Carolina in this game. My power ratings favor Notre Dame by only 1. So I do think there's value with North Carolina, and obviously they're an explosive offensive team. In fact, they're the better offensive team in this game. Notre Dame, though, does hold a substantial defensive edge, and that's why they're a road favorite. But I like North Carolina here. I think there's some line value, but I would have liked the setup more had Notre Dame not had the bye week. So it's a little unfortunate. They had that double OT back-and-forth epic win against Clemson. Then they went into a dangerous spot in Boston College. They squeaked out the 1-point cover as a 2-touchdown favorite. They were laying 13. They won by 14. They didn't have much gas left in the tank after that game. They even said so. So the bye came at a really good time for them, and they should be fresh for this game. They only have Syracuse and Wake Forest on deck. But even with that said, I still think North Carolina is a dangerous underdog here. They're averaging 43 points a game, 10.5 yards per pass. Every time they throw the ball, it's a first down technically. That's incredible. And I think that's enough to keep this game close. It also gives them that backdoor cover potential. If they're down by 10 or 12 late in this game, they get that meaningless touchdown, they lose by less than 5. But I think it's going to be tight, and I think North Carolina has a shot of pulling the upset. And once again, my power ratings only favor Notre Dame by 1 point in this game.
It's one of the great rivalries in sports. It's the Iron Bowl. Auburn, despite a 17th ranking in the country, Alabama's just playing this flat out, just this great. 24.5-point spread with Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah, and Auburn qualifies in a good 4-0 revenge angle with Saban here in this spot. Of course, it just came out on a Wednesday afternoon that Saban has tested positive for COVID. Of course, he tested positive a month ago, and he ended up coaching that Saturday. But this time it sounds like he has some symptoms, mild symptoms. So I think this is probably not a false positive. He likely, almost definitely, will miss the game Saturday. Not much of a line move, though. It's held steady at 24.5 all day since that news came out. It did open as low as 24.5 now. So I don't think you really make any adjustment in the point spread. My power ratings favor Alabama by 27 in this game. So I actually think there is still some line value with Alabama, even though this is the biggest favorite they've been in over a decade in this rivalry series. Normally you'd say, well, they just want to get out with a win. It's late in the season. Winning by 4 touchdowns, a lot to ask. But that's not the situation here. This is only the 8th game of the year for Alabama. And more importantly, it's only their 2nd game since Halloween. They had that double bye the first 2 weeks of November due to the scheduling and the COVID. So both Auburn and Alabama, this is only the 2nd game they've played since the last day of October. So for that reason, I think Alabama will be extra fresh and they won't take their foot off the gas pedal here. And they can win this one by 4 touchdowns or more.
Check out Steve's work at ProSportsInfo.com on the NFL, college football, and college basketball starting up as well. Join us over on Patreon for Steve's Pick of the Week. Go to Patreon, just search Mark Rogers TV, or you can just grab the link down in the description section for Steve's Pick of the Week on Patreon.